The deep space listening station floated in silence at the edge of human territory, its crew expecting another quiet night of routine scans. Then, without warning, the main console lit up with a signal unlike anything they had seen before. It was faint, broken, and wrapped in layers of strange interference. The sound came through as a trembling voice, though no one could understand the words. It was not a language known to human science, but the tone carried something every human understood: fear. Lieutenant Mara leaned closer to the speakers, her hands tightening on the console. The voice was distant, fading in and out, but there was a pattern beneath the static, a rhythm that almost sounded like a heartbeat. The engineers quickly recorded and isolated the transmission, feeding it through translation software. Nothing worked. The signal didn't match any alien language on record. That alone was enough to set the station on high alert. Then the temperature in the control room dropped, though the climate systems showed no fault. Several crew members felt a strange pressure in their heads, as if the voice was speaking directly into their thoughts. One technician swore he heard a whisper in perfect English: "They're coming." Alarms blared. The signal spiked in strength, flooding every channel, overriding normal communications. Symbols flashed across the screens, jagged, urgent, almost like warnings scratched in panic. Mara's heart pounded as she realized the signal was moving, not just through space, but closer to their location. The captain ordered immediate contact with Earth Command, but the main link was already failing. The last thing Mara heard from the transmission before it went silent was a sound that made her blood run cold. A deep, metallic roar, echoing as if from the throat of something massive and alive. Earth Command received fragments of the station's report before the connection died. In a secure bunker beneath the capital, military leaders, scientists, and intelligence officers gathered around a large screen displaying the broken signal. Every attempt to restore the feed failed. What remained was a looping section of the transmission, the trembling alien voice, the strange heartbeat rhythm, and that haunting metallic roar. Dr. Kellen, a linguistics expert, leaned forward, replaying the audio in slow motion. "This isn't just a distress call," he said quietly. "There's a warning buried inside it. And whatever it is, it's meant for us." His words stirred unease in the room. If the message was directed at humanity, then the sender knew Earth's location. Meanwhile, in deep space, the listening station's crew scrambled to stay connected. But something was wrong. The power fluctuated without reason. The navigation system began showing phantom objects moving in formation, and static hissed across every speaker like whispers in the dark. Mara checked the external cameras. The stars seemed dimmer, as if something huge was blocking distant light. Back on Earth, Dr. Kellen isolated a sequence of symbols from the transmission and cross-referenced them with ancient alien archives. His face went pale. The markings matched warnings found on derelict ships discovered decades ago, ships that had been torn apart from the inside. "Tell the station to evacuate now," he urged. But no one could reach them. In orbit around the listening post, the void shifted. Something emerged, vast, black, and silent. Its shape was unnatural, like jagged metal grown instead of built. It drifted toward the station without a single visible engine flare, as if carried by some invisible current. Inside the control room, Mara's screen flickered, and a new voice cut through the static. This time, it spoke in perfect English. "You heard the cry. Now you will see who made it." The crew froze as the voice echoed through the control room. It was calm, almost gentle, but carried a weight that pressed on their chests. Mara tried to respond, her voice shaking, but every system locked. The station's controls were no longer theirs. The black shape outside grew larger, blotting out more of the stars until it filled the main viewport like a dark moon. On Earth, Dr. Kellen monitored the transmission. The moment the voice spoke in English, his equipment detected a sudden burst of data, coordinates, and a short, chilling phrase: "We are not your enemy." The room erupted with questions. If they weren't the enemy, then who was? And why arrive in such a terrifying way? Back at the station, the jagged vessel rotated slowly, revealing massive scars across its hull. Deep burns, torn plating, and strange organic-looking wounds. Whatever it was, it had already been in a brutal fight. A section of the ship opened, not with mechanical precision, but like a wound tearing wider, exposing a dimly lit chamber. A blinding white beam scanned the station from top to bottom. Mara's comm panel flickered, and an image appeared. A figure in tattered armor, helmet cracked, eyes pale with exhaustion. The alien's voice came again, weaker now. "We sent the cry. You must leave this place. They follow us." Before Mara could ask who they were, the lights on the station cut out completely. Through the viewport, beyond the wounded vessel, movement rippled in the darkness. Dozens of shapes emerging from the void, sleek and predatory. They were smaller than the black ship, but faster, their edges glinting like blades. The alien on the screen turned sharply, fear flashing in its pale eyes. "They are here." The first of the sleek, blade-like ships darted past the viewport, moving so fast Mara barely caught its shape. A cold, unnatural hum filled the air, vibrating through the station's walls. The wounded black vessel outside rotated to face the oncoming swarm, its hull cracking open to reveal rows of strange, glowing weapons. On Earth, the Emergency Council watched the incoming telemetry. Grainy visuals showed the swarm surrounding the station. "They're cutting off every escape route," a military officer muttered. Dr. Kellen studied the alien patterns on the swarm ship's hulls, his face tightening. Those markings, they matched the warnings from the derelict archives. This is the same enemy. This is what destroyed them. Inside the station, the alien in the transmission shouted over the rising static. "If you stay, you die. Leave now." But Mara's console remained dead. The docking clamps that held their emergency shuttle wouldn't release. The swarm moved in coordinated patterns, slicing through the space between stars, each maneuver bringing them closer. The black vessel fired first. Bolts of white energy tore through the darkness, striking two of the swarm ships and shredding them in a spray of burning fragments. The rest scattered, regrouped, and then attacked in perfect unison. Blue beams cut into the black ship's hull, peeling away its armor like paper. Suddenly, the station shuddered. One of the swarm ships had broken off and was moving directly toward them, its weapon ports glowing. Mara grabbed the nearest rail, her mind racing. They weren't soldiers. This was a listening post, not a warship. There was no defense. The alien's voice came one last time, urgent and strained. "If you cannot flee, then you must hide." And with that, a burst of alien code flooded Mara's systems, unlocking something she didn't even know the station had, a hidden protocol marked only as Deep Vault. The station's lights flickered back on, but only in a dim red glow. Alarms stayed silent, replaced by a low, steady pulse that echoed through the corridors. Mara stared at the words on her console, Deep Vault Protocol engaged. She had never heard of it before, and judging by the confused looks of her crew, neither had they. On Earth, technicians scrambled to interpret the alien code now embedded in the station systems. It was unlike any human programming. Layers of shifting symbols that seemed to rewrite themselves every second. Dr. Kellen leaned in, eyes wide. "It's not just a program," he said. "It's a shield, but it's alive." Outside, the swarm ship slowed, its weapon ports dimming as if something invisible had blinded it. The rest of the swarm continued tearing into the black vessel, but strangely, they avoided firing on the station now. The alien's voice returned, faint but clear. "They cannot see you while the vault is active, but it will not last long." Mara's hands trembled. "What is the vault?" she asked, but the voice didn't answer. Instead, the feed cut to a different image, a hidden bay deep within the station that none of them had access to. In the center sat a small, ancient-looking object, its surface etched with glowing lines. It pulsed in rhythm with a heartbeat-like signal from the original distress call. The alien's breathing grew ragged over the calm. "That is why they came. It is older than my people, older than yours. Do not let them take it." Before Mara could reply, a deafening explosion shook the station. Through the viewport, the black vessel split apart, its core erupting into a blinding light. The swarm scattered like startled predators, all except one, which turned sharply and began speeding toward the station's hidden bay. The swarm ship cut through the void like a blade, its hull glowing with an eerie blue light. Inside the station, Mara could feel its approach, not through sensors, but but as a pressure in her chest, like the air itself was being pulled toward it. The crew scrambled, sealing bulkheads and locking down the lower decks, but the intruder was fast. On Earth, the control room erupted in panic as readings showed the swarm vessel aligning directly with the station's hidden bay. "They know exactly where the object is," a commander growled. Dr. Kellen's voice was tense. "If they take it, they'll have whatever power it holds, and nothing will stop them from reaching Earth." The vault's strange shield began to flicker. The alien's voice returned, weaker than before. "It is linked to the artifact. If they breach it, the shield dies." Static swallowed the rest of his words. The swarm ship drew close enough for its jagged silhouette to fill the viewport. Without warning, a spear of blue energy lanced out, striking the station's outer hull. The entire structure groaned as metal tore away, leaving a gaping wound in one of the side modules. Mara's crew sealed themselves in the command deck, but internal sensors showed something worse. The swarm ship wasn't firing again. It was latching on. Mechanical claws dug into the hull, and moments later, small, insect-like drones began pouring through the breach. The vault's pulsing heartbeat quickened, as if sensing danger. In the hidden bay, the artifact's glow grew brighter, casting long, sharp shadows. Mara's eyes locked on the feed, her stomach twisting. One of the drones stopped in front of the artifact. It tilted its head, scanned it, and then turned its gaze toward the camera, as if it knew Mara was watching. Then it moved. The drone lunged for the artifact, but before its claws could touch the glowing surface, the entire bay erupted in a blinding flash. The feed cut to static. Mara shielded her eyes from the sudden burst of light that poured through even the sealed command deck's small screens. When the image returned, the drone was gone. Nothing left but a scorch mark on the floor. The artifact still pulsed, but now its glow was sharper, almost angry. On Earth, technicians scrambled to interpret the sudden energy spike. "That wasn't a weapon," Dr. Kellen murmured. "It defended itself." The readings showed a burst of radiation unlike anything in human records, controlled, precise, and powerful enough to vaporize the drone without damaging the bay. Outside the station, the swarm ship pulled back, as if startled. But the reprieve didn't last. The vessel's hull began to split open, revealing a massive, spiraling cannon. It charged with a deep, resonant hum that rattled the station's walls. The alien's voice returned one last time, ragged and fading. "The artifact is not just a relic. It is a key, and the lock is here in your system. If they fire, we'll answer." Mara didn't understand, but the meaning was clear enough. If the swarm attacked the bay, something inside the artifact would respond. Whether that meant salvation or destruction, no one knew. The cannon reached full charge, glowing brighter than the stars behind it. Mara gripped the console, ready to brace for impact. But before the swarm ship could fire, the artifact's glow surged into a blinding white sphere, expanding outward. The light passed harmlessly through the station walls and slammed into the enemy vessel. The swarm ship froze in place, every light on its hull going dark. Then it drifted, powerless, into the endless black. Silence fell across the station, broken only by the faint hum of the vault systems. Mara stared at the motionless swarm ship outside, its once blazing hull now a cold, lifeless shell. The artifact in the hidden bay dimmed slowly, its glow returning to the steady heartbeat rhythm from before. But Mara felt no relief, because the rest of the swarm was still out there. In the distance, dozens of their blade-like ships reformed into a tight formation. Instead of rushing in, they hovered, holding position. On Earth, analysts argued over the feed. "They're waiting," the general said grimly, "either for orders or for something worse." Dr. Kellen leaned forward, his eyes on the artifact's readings. "It didn't destroy that ship in the normal sense," he said. "It took something from it." When pressed, he hesitated. "Control. I think the artifact shut it down by seizing its systems." Before anyone could react, the black void behind the swarm rippled. A shape emerged, far larger than any vessel seen so far. Its size dwarfed the others, its hull covered in jagged spires and strange, pulsing lights. The smaller swarm ships broke formation, circling it like escort predators around an apex hunter. The alien's voice crackled through one last burst of static. That is their core vessel. If it reaches you, the vault cannot hide you. You must use the key. Mara's crew exchanged glances. Key to what? Someone asked, but no answer came. In the hidden bay, the artifact's glow quickened again, reacting to the massive ship's presence. Panels around it began to shift, revealing complex mechanisms inside the station that no human had ever seen. Mara felt the air in the command deck grow heavy, as though the entire station was holding its breath. Outside, the core vessel turned slowly and aimed directly at them. The core vessel's hull split open like a jagged mouth, revealing an immense array of rotating structures glowing with deep crimson light. The smaller swarm ships peeled away, giving it space, as if they too feared what was about to happen. The air inside the station vibrated, every metal beam and panel trembling under the low, rising hum. In the hidden bay, the artifact's glow intensified until it was almost blinding. The surrounding walls shifted, revealing conduits and energy channels that connected deep into the station's framework. Mara realized, with a chill, that the vault wasn't just a shield, it was part of a weapon. On Earth, Dr. Kellen pieced it together. The key, it's meant to unlock something buried in the station itself, he said. His voice dropped, but it might not survive the process. And neither might they. The core vessel's crimson glow surged, and a beam of raw energy shot forward, spanning the void between them. Just before it struck, the artifact released a piercing tone that rattled every bone in Mara's body. The station's lights exploded into white brilliance, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. Energy erupted outward in all directions, not as a blast, but as a wave, silent, shimmering, and impossibly fast. It passed harmlessly through the station, but struck the core vessel head-on. The giant ship convulsed, its crimson lights flickering wildly. Smaller swarm ships twisted and spiraled out of control, their precise formation shattering. Mara watched, breathless, as the core vessel began to collapse inward, its jagged spires folding like paper under some unseen force. In less than a minute, the massive predator was gone, leaving only drifting debris and silence. The artifact's light faded to a weak flicker, and in the bay, faint cracks appeared across its surface. Whatever it had done, it had come at a cost. The command deck was silent except for the faint hum of emergency systems. Mara's crew sat frozen, staring at the drifting wreckage outside. The swarm ships that had survived the blast were retreating, scattering into the deep void like shadows fleeing the dawn. None dared approach the station again. In the hidden bay, the artifact's glow had faded to a soft ember. The cracks across its surface spread slowly, releasing tiny wisps of pale light that dissolved into the air. Mara stepped into the bay, feeling an odd warmth radiating from it, as if it recognized her presence. For a moment, she thought she heard a whisper, not from her ears, but deep in her mind. Guardians now. Then the light inside the artifact went out completely. On Earth, cheers erupted in the control room, but Dr. Kellen didn't join them. His gaze stayed fixed on the last readings from the artifact. It's dormant, he said quietly. Not destroyed. It will awaken again if needed. The alien's voice never returned. The black vessel that had first arrived with the warning was gone, either destroyed in the battle or vanished into the stars. Humanity was left with more questions than answers, and one silent relic now locked deep within their care. Mara stood at the viewport, watching the empty stretch of space where the core vessel had died. She knew the quiet wouldn't last. Something powerful enough to shatter a fleet would not go unnoticed for long. Somewhere out there, other forces were listening, just as they had when the first cry reached the stars. For now, the station floated in peace, but the echo of that cry, and humanity's thunderous answer, would ripple across the galaxy. And when the next call came, she knew Earth would have no choice but to answer again.